Hello, and welcome to I guess it would be a new series on the channel. This is called Love the Guard, Be the King. So I actually played this game about, I guess it would be a year ago. It's still in development. 3 out of 4 chapters have been complete, but it is such a beautiful story so far. And I would say there's a level of depth and complexity to it that you don't see in a lot of visual novels. So I will go ahead and read the blurb and then we'll get started. Matthias's heart has been bleeding since his father, the former king, decided to punish you for his mistakes. As the youngest child of a lesser Borghese, you were raised in the castle between the king's cruelty, the queen's friendship, and Matthias's kindness, or supposed kindness. And so Matthias is the king. In this visual novel, you play the role of the king's guard. Now, more than 20 carnivals since you arrived, the king is dead, and the queen's sickness worsens each day. As the azure taint spreads in the kingdom and the Opalian wars come to an end, Matthias's time to sit on the throne. It's Matthias's time to sit on the throne. Will the docile prince become a kind king, a violent monarch, or a ruthless tyrant? Will you have a say in it? And how much will your relationship change? Develop your personality, see how your choices build, and change your bond with Matthias. It's time to help him choose. Will your monarch love the guard or be the king? Okay, so this is a LGBTQIA friendly game. You can choose your pronouns, but regardless, you play the role of the king's guard. So let's jump on in. Okay, let's choose a name. We'll go with Nicole as always. Be the guard. I said shh. Miss Kurtz will hear you, Nicole. I snort, clapping a hand against my mouth to avoid another bark of laughter. I can barely see him in the darkness, but it's easy to feel his burning scowl. And before you say anything, I'm not hiding. I'm merely exploring. While Miss Kurtznova awaits me for my lessons. When I manage to speak, my voice is drenched with laughter. You're not 10 anymore, my liege. And yet Miss Kurtznova treats me like a child. Matthias inches closer, enough for me to catch the scent of his perfume. She wants me to do 100 G major scales. Neither I nor my violin can take that much, Nicole. I chuckle. Whatever you say, my liege, but please, don't squeal like that again. You don't know how painful it'd be if I fell wearing this heavy armor. Matthias hesitates. What are you saying, Nicole? Oh, nothing. It's just, if I fell, you'd try to lift me, and then we'd both be on the floor. I laughing, and you with a broken back. Are you implying I'm not strong enough to lift your armor? I let out a chortle. He makes this so easy. I never imply anything about you, my liege, Matthias hums. Meaning you prefer a more explicit approach at mocking me? Matthias lashes out a hand, trying to get a hold of my ear, but I dodge with a low bow, making an exaggerated flourish with a hand. You become smarter every day, Your Highness. I can't stop a laugh when Matthias slaps my armored arm, filling the dark passage with a loud metallic sound. He groans in pain while I stagger a step backwards, laughing even harder. I swear, Nicole, one day I'll be king and I'll put you in chains for scaring me in a dark place like this, and for laughing at me. A voice comes from behind the hidden door. Your Highness! Night, Nicole, I can hear you. Do not think you can escape your exercises, Prince Matthias. I bent forward with a knee-weakening guffaw. Matthias's hands come to my rescue. He holds my arm and steadies me, clicking his tongue. The nerve of some people. That's your fault for getting out of my sight, my liege. You know I must accompany you at all times, even in your practices. Besides, you should pay more attention to avoid sneak attacks like mine. You were trying to teach me a lesson, were you? Precisely. He scoffs. Of course. Matthias's voice is dragged, and he raises his eyebrows in clear disbelief. I smile. Brushing a lock of my hair behind my ear, he shakes his head. Then he smiles back. It's hard to believe this happened in this very spot, no more than 5 carnivals ago. Things were different then. Simpler. Calmer. They are not anymore. Everything changed when the Queen got sick. As a result, Matthias plays that atrocious song, again and again. I can imagine the nobles gathered in that room, all of them swooning and drooling over Matthias. The court never paid much attention to him, but the sicker the Queen gets, the more respect they develop for him. What a flock of vultures they all are. I scoff. Through the closed hidden door behind his father's portrait, I hear Bach's Partitia in D minor, played with bleeding, heartbreaking longing. He introduced this one to me a long time ago, when we were children and innocent enough to revel in its beauty. We didn't know who it was composed for. We didn't feel the sadness behind it, the eternal, irrevocable distance it represents. Things change, I suppose. I close my eyes and rest against the wall. My feet and my legs hurt after almost 3 hours standing on my heavy armor, but there's little that could be done about it. Future monarchs tend to get a little nervous when targeted by masked assassins, I suppose. After the assassination attempt I managed to stop, Matthias asked me to keep as close as possible, hidden away so that the others won't question my power. Please, he said. He can act like a scared little thing, that man, when he wants to. Not that I mind, of course. It beats the overly dragged paperwork I'm often obligated to go through as dragging commander. The only bad side in all this is the insufferable music. I used to love this song. Now, okay, we can say it saddens me, it infuriates me, or it disgusts me. To me, it saddens me because I'm assuming from what I remember, he's playing this song because his mother's dying. Now it saddens me. It makes me think about our past together and all of the experiences we'll never share again. It also brings back terrible memories. While my gender never mattered to him nor any other member of his family, I was treated as his whipping boy. The more Matthias taught me about music and literature, the more demonstrations of affection we shared, and the closer we got. The more scars I earned, to the point my whole body was marked both by his kindness towards me and by his mistakes. I was blamed for everything, from his disposition, health, and studies, to the many faux pas and stammerings he made in court. And I was whipped in his place. Each of my scars a reminder that he, and only he, could decide if my life would be pleasant or a painful one. While Matthias... Okay, we could say Matthias never meant to harm anyone. I'm sure Matthias did it on purpose, or Matthias just lacked proper discipline. To be honest, I feel like he never meant to hurt anyone. Because he was just a child when, at least from the sounds of it, when the majority of all this happened, and children are mischievous a lot of times. They don't really understand the full repercussions of their actions. He was a poor, rich child and nothing else. I know his heart, and I know the goodness it harbors, so I can only imagine how difficult it was for him to watch those beatings, incapable of lifting a finger. But marks are marks, and mine will never leave me. Now I'm the Dragon Commander, the untouchable true knight of Opala, a symbol of peace and hope. But even still, I can't seem to forget what King Elias did to me. Art is not wait, art is not supposed to be shared with the lower class, the king used to say. The basics of math, perhaps some geography and history were enough for a servant like me. Apparently, it was sufficiently bad to have to educate the child of a lesser Borghese. By the way, let me know if I'm saying that correctly, guys, because I have no clue. Brought to the castle by sheer luck. The king didn't want me thinking I belonged to this place. And yet, the queen adored me. I'm pretty sure she's the one to thank for bringing me to the royal palace. Our Majesty Ivana was more of a mother to me than my own, who gladly sold me to the royal family like cattle when things went dire. Queen Ivana kept me close for hours, brushing and braiding my long hair, which she had forbidden me to cut. She used to tell me stories, to paint my face with rouge, and to dress me like a doll. You can say I loved it, the queen and I shared a bond, I didn't mind, the queen was good to me, or I hated it, the queen thought she controlled me, I controlled her instead. I think I'm gonna go with the top one because I mean our parents sold us to the royal family, it sounds like. So more than like and we, just like when we were a kid too. So I think that we would be looking for a parent figure. Um and interpret the queen's kindness as, you know, um similar to that sort of parental bond. The servants in the castle and the other members of the royal family often found it strange, but Queen Ivana was still a kind, gentle soul. And she was kind and gentle to me. She treated me well, better than anyone else in that castle, and it made me feel content, peaceful, loved. She called me Little Fairy. No one had made me feel so loved before, except for Matthias. But all things come to an end, for better or worse, and my bond with the queen faced the same destiny. The queen became cold and distant, reigning over Opala with an iron hand that much resembled her late husband's. No one knows what exactly happened to her. I myself never dared to ask. Without the king, the flogging stopped, and I was allowed to study whatever I wanted. I became a knight. Then, after what happened in Topazio, the very dragon commander, the one responsible for the royal guard. The pain went away, but the music remains. I sigh. The tiredness of a week without proper sleep falls on my shoulders. My eyes close slowly. Maybe I can rest for a while, just a short, short while. Oh, heavens! For a heartbeat, there's nothing but silence. Then, the little crowd gathering inside explodes in wailing and confused questions, either for Matthias or for the invisible gods that supposedly guide us. Nicole, please. My body is already moving before I have time to think twice. I push the door open and invade Queen Ivana's chambers, raising my sword. When I do, the nobles grouped around Matthias let out a collective gasp. My heart beats against my ears as I zero in on the figure of Queen Ivana, sliding sideways in her large armchair. I sheath my sword and rush to her, holding her bony shoulders. My armor clinks as I kneel before her pale figure. The queen is fair and the queen is far from stout, but I never, not once in my entire life, saw her this thin and frail. Her beautiful white hair is dry and frazzled, spread over the cushion she's resting against. Black nails, opaque yellow eyes, and lips so purple it seems she was dipped into icy water. I sigh. No one thought the azure taint would reach the palace, and yet here it is. So I'm assuming the azure taint is like some sort of sickness that has sort of swept throughout the lands. I take my gauntlet off and feel the weak pulse on her wrist. She's cold. Still alive, though. My eyes focus on Yavanna's page. Call for the royal doctor, boy. Quick. As the boy scurries away, Matthias jabs his knees on the floor beside me. The violin slips from his fingers and falls on the floor with a dull thud. All around us, the other nobles mumble prayers. Mother? I get up and pull a blanket from around the closer nobleman's shoulders. In a swift motion, I cover the queen's shaking body. What happened, my liege? I I don't know. So this is Matthias right here, and then this is the queen, his mother. Tears well up in his eyes as he reaches for my arm. What do we do, Nicole? My lips curve in a soft smile. My chest tightens. I cover his hand with mine and give it a reassuring squeeze. Don't worry. You know how strong Lady Ivana is. She'll wake up soon enough. A ruffling of fabric steals our attention. Now, children, please, you should keep your voices down when an old lady is napping. With that, the nobles gathered around us let out a sigh that seems to be filled with relief. Matthias surely is, for a trail of tears run down his cheeks. I was so worried, mother. Lady Ivana rests a quiet, warm gaze on her son, and then turns to me. My little fairy, I'm so glad to see you beside my son again. I never left his side, my queen. Lady Ivana chuckles, her voice barely louder than a whisper. It must have been too much excitement, for she coughs right after. The skin on her hands and cheeks seems so thin I fear they may rupture with the intensifying coughs. Matthias reaches for his mother's hand and gives it a soft squeeze. We were so relieved to see you awake, your majesty. Indeed, we were all worried for a tick. No more than I guarantee it. Okay. So we can remind Matthias of his guests quietly, voice your criticisms against Matthias, or order Matthias to take care of his guests. I'm gonna go with the top one. I mean I don't think it's wise as the King's Guard to criticize him openly. And I don't think we should be ordering around the prince, who is, the future king. I share a look with Matthias and nudge at his arm, glancing at the nobles standing a few feet from us. His eyebrows shoot up and Matthias rests his hands on mine. Taking a deep breath, he puts on the mask he saves for the nobility. Matthias smiles. He gets on his feet, one of his arms folded at his back in an elegant posture. So yeah, we can see it here. What a quaint reunion this becomes. His smile gives the nobles permission to do the same. That gesture alone removes a good part of the tension inside the room. Our queen is well, as you can see, and while I'm sure she'll be up and dancing before the night is done, I must ask that you all wait outside for us. Matthias clasps his hands, and one of his many well-dressed servants shows up at the door, bowing. Please guide my esteemed guests to our banquet hall. Let them eat and drink and celebrate our health. He makes a grand gesture and smiles. Go, I'll join you soon. The nobles around us look hesitant for a heartbeat, then leave through the double doors. I look at Matthias and he manages to sketch a smile. As if on cue, the royal doctor arrives and asks us to leave so she can start her treatment. With a half-worried, half-embarrassed demeanor, Matthias nods. He murmurs his thanks, kisses his mother's hands, and leaves. Outside, Matthias gives me a worried look. He reaches for my cape and tugs at it. Would you wait for me, Nicole? Or sorry, would you wait with me, Nicole? I'm afraid. Is that an order, my liege? Matthias lowers his eyes. I was expecting a sneer, a chuckle, or any kind of reaction but this. Then again, it's his mother we're talking about. I murmur, resting against the wall beside him. Don't worry. I would stay even if it weren't. I'm not sure for how long we waited. 30 minutes? Maybe 40? When the royal doctor leaves the queen's chambers, she has a stern expression and hard eyes set on Matthias. Your Royal Highness, Commander Nicole. She bows her head and I do the same out of respect. Helena Filchin is a little older than Ivana, and she carries herself with as much majesty as the queen did when she was still healthy. The gossips in the court say Dr. Filchin should have been crowned queen to reign beside her lover. Oh, was the king, Matthias' father, having an affair with her? I agree. Wow. Did I read that right? That's surprising considering the way that we played this. Our character had a bond with the crowned queen. How is my mother, Helena? Her jaw tightens. This is bad, child. I wish. The words stick to her throat like blood on a rusty sword. She licks her lips and takes a deep breath. Go inside and talk to her, Matthias. Go, before the sleeping elixir takes effect. Matthias nods. I follow him into the room. As Matthias treads to his mother's side, I walk towards the double doors leading to the balcony. I check every inch of it and return to do the same inside. When I lock the balcony doors, Matthias and his mother are still speaking, with nothing but tender gazes and joined hands. So it's clear that Matthias and his mother, the queen, are very close. I stop by the door, standing a good distance to give them privacy. Matthias caresses his mother's cheek and whispers to her. She opens her eyes. Mother, she's here. Ah, my little fairy, come closer. I hesitate. Please, Nicole. My steps echo on the stone walls. I kneel beside Matthias. Obliging the queen's silent gesture, I remove my gauntlets and place my hand atop Matthias's. My two beloved children, one my son, the other my dearest little friend. I smile as my eyes sting. Matthias sniffs beside me. The queen is either unfazed by what she says, or she shows little regard for her position. It takes her less than a moment to say, I'm stepping down the throne, Matthias, and I want you and Nicole to reign in my place. My eyes widen, as does Matthias's. Before I can speak, the queen silences me with a stern look. The lit fireplace and the howl of the wind outside are our only witnesses. I'm sorry, Mother. What? I refused at once. I'm not supposed to sit on the throne for the next 5 years. Opal has rules and customs and I'm above all of them, silly. She smiles. I know things changed between you in the past years. I've been distant but not blind. Mother, you'll soon be healthy again. I don't want the crown. You can have it. You can have it for decades still. The queen sighs and clicks her tongue. It's too heavy of a burden for me, my love. I'm tired of making decisions. There's a whole library I still need to read, and so many places I wish to travel to. So Matthias is clearly, I feel like, in denial about his mother's condition, because from the way that things are described, she's in very poor shape. And he's talking about, her still reigning for decades. But mother, still, I would never let you alone in this, my dear boy. The queen's eyes snapped to me, shiny and filled with intelligence. And so I want to ask of you, Nicole. Can I count on you to be at Matt's side, or at my Matt's side? Will you help him become the great king I know he can? Okay, so we can say, yes, I believe in him. It'll be hard to shape him into a king, or I'll make sure he's properly disciplined. Okay, so I'm sure you guys already heard this in the blurb, but the way that we answer a lot of these questions will dictate the type of king that Matthias becomes by the end of the game. And um, I am generally of the mind where I would prefer him to be a compassionate ruler. Um, because I mean we've had dictators throughout society, and we've seen how well that works, which is typically not well at all. So I think that we'll say I'm gonna save here just in case. But I think I'll say yes, I believe in him. Because I'll make sure he's properly disciplined. I mean, that's more like we're an authority figure, and I don't think he needs an authority figure. I think he needs support. Because I'm sure he has plenty of people for that, as far as disciplining him. And it'll be hard to shape him into a king. That's really mean. So let's go with yes, I believe in him. Matthias glances at me. Oh, look, he's blushing, guys. At least I think he was, or maybe that's just the maybe that's just the way his character profile is colored. What? I'm serious. The queen smiles. I'm glad, Nicole. One more thing, child. Her eyes harden as she lays a hand on my cheek. The gesture in itself is delicate, but something in her eyes makes me shudder. No matter what happens, Matthias will be your future king. Remember that. I try to soften the crease forming between my eyebrows. Of course, my queen. Good. She sighs and closes her eyes, her arms wafting down to the mattress. So I'm assuming she said that because, and this is just pure conjecture on my part, but the game is called Love the Guard, comma, Be the King, which to me means that we can either love Matthias, right, and allow him to be king, or we can be the king ourselves by controlling him and sort of being like this disciplinary, manipulative figure. Um, so I'm assuming when she said that, her point was, that we're supposed to help him, but we're not supposed to control him and be the king ourselves. Now go, I want to rest. I bow as Matthias bends down to press a kiss to his mother's forehead. Rest well, mother. Okay, I am gonna go ahead and end things here because my voice is giving me a bit of issues, but yeah, I love this visual novel. It's not complete. Let me give you guys the developer's name in case you want to check it out. So the developer's name is Ligia Nunes. That's Ligia space Nunes. I believe she's also a writer on Wattpad. Um, and like I said, this game it's been in development for at least the last couple years. So I don't think it'll probably be finished. And there's only one chapter left before it is going to be complete. But I don't think it'll be finished for the next year or so. But I remember playing this a couple years ago, and back when I did, I really did love the progression of um, our character's relationship with Matthias and the vast array of choices that we had, and sort of how his character develops in response to how we sort of treat him. Um, with the future episodes, we do get some history as far as them growing up, because they grew up together. They were both kids. Our character was a child when we came to the palace, and he was, a young prince. But we get some history on that as far as, or as well as some other things. Anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I hope that you enjoyed the episode, and I will see you next time.